Happy New Year everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Angelo and today I would like to talk about my top 3 investments for 2021. Not only that, but I also want to reflect on how each investment performed last year. You'll find out where I'm planning to invest most of my money in 2021 and my reasoning for it. And last but not least, I'll share with you what I think will probably perform the best out of the 3 this year. We'll have to revisit this at the end of the year to see if my prediction was correct. Just remember that none of this is investment advice, so always do your own research before investing into anything and never just blindly follow someone else. Also, I have a very high risk tolerance due to my low living expenses, which allow me to save and invest a good chunk of my monthly income, and I'm just 30 years old. Your situation may be different. Before we get into it, don't forget to hit the like button if you want to see more videos like this, and if you'd like to support me and check out any of the investments that I mentioned in the video, you can find all the links in the description below. First, we have ETFs. If you're new to the channel, you might be surprised as the channel is called Peer-to-Peer Investing Europe, but I also cover other investments. As I have discussed in some other videos, the largest chunk of my portfolio is actually invested in low-cost exchange-traded funds covering a broad stock market index. I don't buy individual stocks as I don't like placing bets on which single companies are gonna perform well. Because for me, that usually ends up with me constantly checking my brokerage account and doubting if I made the right decision or if I should sell or buy more shares and so on. It would also cost me too much time to research each company before buying it and to stay up to date on any news regarding the company and its competition. All in all, it's just too much of a hassle for me and not my style of investing. Instead, I like to keep things as simple as possible by investing in a single passively managed exchange-traded fund, the Vanguard FTSE All World. Via a single ETF, my investment is diversified over 3,470 different stocks from all around the world based on their market capitalization. And this also includes companies in emerging markets like China or India. I don't want to place bets on specific regions doing better than others either, as I simply don't know what's going to happen over the next couple of decades. This way, no matter where innovation happens, I'm able to profit from the growth of the world economy as a whole long term. If you're wondering how you can get started with ETFs, check out my video on the Giro. Also, if you're a German or Austrian resident, I recently added the entire list of brokerages I use on my website. Some of them even have better or even zero fees compared to the Giro. So throughout 2020, my wife and I put most of our available cash in ETFs. Sadly, like probably some of you as well, we had less available cash when the market was at its lowest back in March, as we were also hit with less work at the time, and so we were earning less. Still, we kept buying more ETF shares on a monthly basis when we could. And here's how our ETF portfolio performed in 2020. We earned a total of 4,721 euro in capital gains on our ETFs, plus 1,048 euros in dividends for the year. And the realized capital gains of around 170 euro were just some short-term trades I did, which I stopped doing pretty quickly into the year as I realized it was taking too much time and not worth the effort. And if we look at the key indicators, we had an internal rate of return of 9.81% in 2020, and this includes both our existing investments as well as the money we added throughout the year. And ever since 2017, we have an internal rate of return of 11.78%. And here are the dividends that we received on a quarterly basis compared to the year before. So 2020 is in dark blue and 2019 in light blue. And here again, on a yearly basis, we can see that we received almost double the amount of dividends that we had received in 2019, which is very nice to see. That's even more impressive considering that many companies decided not to pay out a dividend or to reduce the dividend due to the crisis last year. So I certainly can't complain considering the circumstances. For 2021, I plan to invest around 1,000 euro per month into my one ETF strategy. Since it looks like my wife might have found a new job after struggling a bit with self-employment last year, we might be able to increase that amount, but let's see. Still, we're planning to keep investing most of our available money into ETFs this year as well. I'll link all my favorite brokers in the description below. Let's get to my second top investment for 2021, and that is, no surprise to you probably, peer-to-peer lending. And here's what my crowd lending portfolio looks like as of today. As of the beginning of January 2021, I have a total of 30,961 euro and 20 cents invested in peer-to-peer lending. But we shouldn't forget that this has definitely been a hard year, full of painful lessons for many people in the community, me included. The year started in the worst way possible, and I'm not even talking about the lockdown measures yet. 3 platforms I was invested in either completely disappeared or used the virus as an excuse to stop investors from withdrawing their money. I'm talking about Investio, Monetera and Groupier. The sad part is, in all 3 cases, I had just decided to withdraw my investments after sharing my thought process in a video. Sadly, that was too late, and so I lost access to around 6,660 euros of my own capital on the 3 platforms. I let myself be blinded by the high interest rates, by the positive reviews from other bloggers, which I assumed were based off of more than just positive feelings regarding the management, and honestly, I didn't do enough due diligence myself. Peer was by far the biggest surprise for me personally and for many others. I even met the team personally back in 2019 in Riga in their office. And while it did feel a bit chaotic at times, they were very likable, had a large team of employees working for them, and they were open to answering any question that we had. Anyway, that chapter is closed for now until the ongoing law cases are finished, which will likely take some time. That's also when we will know how much money can be recovered. This taught me an important lesson: to never blindly trust personal feelings and emotions when it comes to investing, but rather look at hard data like audited financial statements. Also, when a company regularly changes its banking details, something is probably off. After all of this happened, I restructured my peer-to-peer lending portfolio to only include platforms that have a clear business model and, if possible, audited financial statements. I'm also looking forward to more regulation in the sector in 2021, which has been announced already and should provide us investors with more protection. Anyway, if you exclude what are likely fictional earnings from Investio, Monetero and Peer, I earned a total of 2,965 euros in interest from peer-to-peer lending last year. That in itself would be almost double of what I earned in 2019 had I not made those stupid mistakes. And here's my internal rate of return so far for each platform. As you can see, Lender Market has been my best performing platform so far. I only recently started investing on Estate Guru, and the loans there pay interest every 3 months, and on Evo Estate my loans only pay interest at the end of their loan term, some of which are ending this year. I'm expecting both of those platforms to reach close to a 10% internal rate of return sooner or later as well. Getting back to the crazy events regarding Investio, Monetero and Peer, I am positive that some of the funds can be recovered, but that will take some time. If I were to actually lose the entire amount of money I had invested there, that would mean a very painful loss of 3,694 euros from peer-to-peer lending in 2020. And if we include what I earned from the other platforms ever since adding this asset class to my portfolio back in September 2018, I only lost 1,847 euros. If, as mentioned, none of the funds can be recovered. Anyway, if things go as planned, I hope that my peer-to-peer portfolio will be back in the green by mid-2021. Obviously, the still ongoing pandemic has hit this sector very hard as well, and some platforms and loan originators have been dealing with the situation better than others. Even with the hard setbacks in 2020, I'm still excited about this sector as a whole. I expect my investments here to do well as soon as the world returns back to normal. They will hopefully also provide me with stable monthly cash flow and act as diversification if or when the stock market crashes, for example. Alright, so my third top investment for 2021 is cryptocurrencies. I did not expect to talk about cryptocurrencies this often, but due to recent events, I kind of have to. Also, make sure you check out the video I created on the topic recently in case you haven't already. Anyway, let's recap. I started my speculative investment in Bitcoin and Ethereum back in 2017. Back then, as I got caught up in all the hype, I invested a total of 20,100 euros into this asset class. It was a large chunk of my overall portfolio back then, as I also had just recently started investing into ETFs. I was very happy with my choice on the way up when my investment basically tripled to 67,000 euros at the top, but it felt horrible when I didn't sell anything and it went all the way down to 8,000 euros by December 2018. I'm telling you this so that you know what can happen if you decide to get into this highly volatile asset class. So let's take a look at what happened in 2020. My Bitcoin and Ethereum started the year still in the red at around 14,100 euro in value. Well, by the end of 2020, they had grown to a total of 51,498 euros. Since they grew even further since then, actually to the same level I had last seen in the beginning of 2018, I'm currently taking out my initial investment. I will let the rest ride wherever it may go, but at least I can be way more relaxed about it. I'm not planning to invest any more money into cryptocurrencies in 2021. Even after taking out my initial investment, they still make up a good chunk of my portfolio right now. The only point at which I may add more money is if we see another massive crash like the one we had last year in March, which could be a good buying opportunity, but only if I have the available cash. Ideally, I would like to have around 10% of my portfolio allocated to Bitcoin and Ethereum long term. I see them as a good alternative to precious metals like gold, just with a lot more upside potential. I'll add a link to my favorite exchanges below the video in case you're interested in the subject. Okay, so here are my predictions for how each of my investments is going to do in 2021, which is also based off the current crazy environment we're in, where central banks seem to be printing a never-ending amount of money. Once again, this is not investment advice, just my own unprofessional opinion as a 30-year-old investor. We will revisit my predictions at the end of the year and see how things actually went. I think asset prices are going to do well, also helped by a post-pandemic market recovery. A lot of that is, of course, already priced in, but I still think that the stock market is going to do well this year. That of course doesn't mean that we won't see any price corrections throughout the year, but I still expect my ETF portfolio's value to be higher by the end of 2021. To put that into numbers, I'm expecting around 10% returns from my ETF, the Vanguard FTSE World, this year. As far as my investments in peer-to-peer lending are concerned, I'm happy with my current selection of platforms. I think the sector will do a lot better once the world returns to normal, hopefully by mid-2021. I'm expecting yearly returns of around 11% from my crowd lending portfolio this year, and I also hope that my investments here will provide a bit of stability in case we see a stock market crash, for example. Let's get to my prediction for the last one, cryptocurrencies, which is definitely the riskiest asset class out of the three. Even though prices exploded over the past couple of weeks, when looking at previous cycles, I still think there's a good chance that prices will be a lot higher by the end of 2021, especially in the current environment of limitless money printing. I'm only talking about the two largest ones, Bitcoin and Ethereum. I don't know what the rest will do. So my crazy prediction for this part of my portfolio is that it will outperform everything else in 2021 and maybe even double in value by the end of the year, with a lot of sharp crashes and corrections in between. I could very well be wrong though, and it could go in the opposite direction, which is why I'm already taking out a chunk of my investment. I would only invest money that you can afford to lose in this highly volatile asset class. Alright, so what do you guys think about my top 3 investments for 2021 and my price predictions? How is your own portfolio allocated for this year? I would love to know in the comments down below. Before you take off, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more videos in the future. Also, if you'd like to support me and check out any of the investments that I mentioned in the video, you can find all the links in the description below. Thanks for watching, and until next time.